Today, I'm going to be sharing with you over 50 different Instant Pot tips. Hi, I'm Karen Peterson, and I run the website 365 Days of Slow and Pressure Cooking. Over there, I share recipes with you for every day of the year. Over here on YouTube, I like to share Instant Pot stuff with you. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you a version of an article I wrote called 81 Instant Pot Tips. I'm not going to share all 81 with you today, but I'm going to share plenty with you so that you can feel comfortable using your Instant Pot. Let's jump into the tips. There's no brand called Instapot. It's Instant Pot with a T at the end. The steam knob on top of your lid is supposed to be wiggly. The manual button and the pressure cook button are the exact same thing. Depending on what model of Instant Pot you use, one has something that says manual in it and one says pressure cook. They're exactly the same. So when you read a recipe and it says use the manual button, you can use the pressure cook button. 99% of the time you can use the manual or pressure cook button. You actually don't need all those other fancy buttons, the eggs, the cake, the stew, all of that. Usually just use your manual or pressure cook button. Despite the name of Instant Pot, nothing cooks instantly in this pot. It takes time to come to pressure. Every time you build the pressure in this pot, it takes about 10 minutes. Although it does take time to come to pressure, it is a hands-off method of cooking where you can accomplish lots of other things while your Instant Pot is cooking. Do you know you can deep clean your Instant Pot? I'll show you how in this other video. You can put the lid in the dishwasher, or you can wash it by hand. It's up to you. If you put it in the dishwasher, set it in the top rack. If your stainless steel liner looks like mine, very cloudy, don't worry, it's not ruined. You can make it shiny and new again by using some Barkeeper's Friend or maybe some vinegar. This sealing ring gets really smelly. Store your lid upside down like this so that it can air out after each use. You can clean the rim right here that gets really dirty with a Q-tip or a foam brush, or even with a butter knife with a rag over the top of it. Always add thin liquid like water, broth, apple juice, those types of things to your Instant Pot. At least 1 cup for a 6-quart pressure cooker. This will help the pot come to pressure. The burn notice happens when things burn on the bottom of your pot before your pot comes to pressure. The burn notice can also happen when you add thickening ingredients like flours or cornstarch. Don't add those things when you're pressure cooking. Add them after the fact. The fuller your pot is and the cooler the ingredients in the pot, the longer it will take your pot to come to pressure. The larger the pot, the longer it takes to come to pressure. Consider that when purchasing a 6 or 8 quart. Natural pressure release, or NPR, means that you let the pot sit until the pressure has released on its own. The little float valve that's right here will go down on its own when using the natural pressure release. You don't have to do anything. It will just automatically occur on its own after the pressure cooking cycle is up. It usually takes 10 to 15 minutes to natural pressure release. QR refers to quick release. This just means that when the pressure cooking cycle is over, you move the valve from sealing to venting and all of the steam will escape out of that valve. In most cases, do not fill your pot more than 2/3 full. In foods that expand, such as rice and beans, only fill your pot half full. When considering what I just said about not filling your pot more than 2/3 full, if you have a chicken or something that's coming to the very top of the pot, that's not a big deal. That will cook just fine. I'm talking about things that go to the top like liquids. Do not fill liquids all the way to the top. Natural pressure release is recommended for meats. When you use a quick release on meats, the muscle fibers seize up and they make the meat really tough. If you're cooking a roast and you want to add some vegetables in to cook for the last few minutes, you can do a quick release in that case to add the vegetables in and then finish with the natural pressure release later. If you're trying to perform a quick release and foam comes out of the valve, just quickly move the valve back to sealing, wait 20 seconds, and then try it again and move it back to venting. And if foam still comes out, move it again back to sealing until you can do this without foam coming out of the valve. Give yourself enough time to naturally pressure release roast, or else you'll be really sad that you end up with a doorstop of meat instead of something that's tender and shreddable. Most of the time, the quick release is really quick. You move the valve to venting and it releases the steam fairly quickly. However, if your pot is really full, it's going to take a lot longer, up to 5 minutes to do the quick release. You can do a combination of natural pressure release and quick release. I do this a lot of times for chicken. I put the chicken in and cook it, and then I'll do a 5-minute natural pressure release, meaning that you let the pot sit there after the cycle is done for 5 minutes, and then you move the valve to venting. This just kind of gets the best of both worlds, where you kind of get the quicker release, but it doesn't seize up those muscle fibers quite as much. To natural pressure release, all you have to do is let the pot sit there. You can unplug the pot if you like, but if you don't, the pot will start counting up, and it will have a number or a letter at the beginning, L, and then it will start counting up, 001, 002, etc. Either way, it's still doing the natural pressure release. I personally keep the pot plugged in just so I can see how much time has lapsed since the pressure cycle has been finished. PIP means pot in pot. When you're using the pot in pot method, you're going to use water in the bottom, the trivet, and a pan an oven-safe dish that will fit inside your Instant Pot. You'll fit the food into the pan and then lower the trivet down into the pot and cook it that way. This is good for things that will burn on the bottom of your pot. Let's say you want to make like some sort of dessert, like a bundt cake or peach cobbler, or even something like lasagna. This is how you would do it. Pot in pot, PIP. Do not use plastic in your Instant Pot. Silicone, on the other hand, is okay. There are lots of different accessories on the market for the Instant Pot. My personal favorites are the silicone sling, which you can lower food down into the pot and then get it out, and this steamer basket. I'll put the links in the notes below. You can make yogurt in your Instant Pot. However, the Lex models do not have the yogurt incubation settings, unfortunately. If you don't have the yogurt button, you actually can still make it. I haven't tried it myself, but there's lots of recipes online on how to do it. Greek yogurt is simply strained regular yogurt. You do not have to strain your yogurt. Personally, I do because I like the thicker consistency. If you're making a cheesecake or banana bread in your Instant Pot, I like to cover it loosely with some foil so that the drippage from the top of the lid doesn't hit my baked goods. There are a lot of ways to make hard-boiled eggs. I use a 2-minute cook time and a 10-minute natural pressure release. You can fill your pot up with as many eggs as you like when you're making hard-boiled eggs, and you'll still use the same amount of water in the bottom and the same amount of cooking time. There are so many methods for making rice in the Instant Pot. You're going to have to experiment to find which one you like best. Some people like their rice a little softer, so they use more water. I will put the ways that I make rice in the notes below. Just because you can use the Instant Pot doesn't mean it's the best method for making that certain food in the Instant Pot. Do not put this on your stove burner. It might accidentally turn on and ruin your Instant Pot. I've seen that happen so many times. Keep it on the counter, away from the stove. Do not ever cook anything in the Instant Pot without this liner. Do not pour anything into this pot without this liner. If you accidentally pour something into the Instant Pot without the liner, turn it upside down and let it dry out for 72 hours before you try to use it. There are Instant Pot appliances that are not pressure cookers. For example, the Gem is a multi-cooker, kind of like a slow cooker. Doubling a recipe does not mean you double the time. In fact, sometimes when you double a recipe, you decrease the time. However, doubling the thickness of the food, such as a meat or a potato, does require you to increase the cooking time. You can cut recipes in half for your Instant Pot. A 2-pound roast is not necessarily twice as thick as a 1-pound roast. Milk, cheese, and other dairy products do not hold up well in the Instant Pot when pressure cooking. Add them after the pressure cycle has completed. There is no single cook time for chicken breasts. Size matters. If you have a thicker chicken breast, it's going to take longer than a skinnier chicken breast. Some models of Instant Pot have these little fins in the edge where you can hold your lid. If your pot suddenly stops working, it might be that this cord back here isn't plugged in tightly. It is removable. The bottom of your stainless steel pot is slightly domed. If you put oil in there, it will go to the edges. All you have to do is kind of swirl the pot around. It'll be fine to brown or saute whatever you're working on. Put your water or broth in first before adding other ingredients. This will put a buffer between the bottom of the pot and the rest of your ingredients so you don't get that burn message. The steam that comes out of here is hot. Use common sense. Step away from it. Don't put your hand over it. If you even want, you can use a spoon to move it from sealing to venting. The first thing that you should do with your Instant Pot is read the manual and perform the water test. I have 3 different sizes of Instant Pots. My favorite is the Duo 6-quart. Instant Pots do have a slow cooker function. However, from the things that I've read online and from my own experience, it is the one Achilles heel of the Instant Pot. It doesn't work terrifically. If you do use it, use the high setting, stir every now and then. You can cook your chicken in the bottom while you cook rice on top. Put the chicken, sauce, whatever ingredients in the bottom, then use the pot method to cook your rice at the same time. You can adjust the saute setting. When you push saute, it will give you the option to use the adjust button to move it from less, normal, or more. For browning, go ahead and use more. For simmering, you can use less. And for sauteing, use normal. When you get your new Instant Pot, there'll be a plastic covering on the display. You can peel that off. You can use your Instant Pot to proof bread. The pressure cooker does not allow for evaporation, so foods do become runny. Use a cornstarch slurry to thicken at the end. Lots of people complain that food sticks to the bottom of their pot while using the saute setting. What I like to do is push the saute button and then adjust it to the more. And then when the display says hot, H-O-T, on the front, go ahead and add your oil in then and start sauteing. If you add it in before, your food will stick to the bottom of the stainless steel pot. My final tip is to leave your Instant Pot at the counter and learn to use it and love it. It is good for so many different things. Visit me 365daysofcrockpot.com to find all the ways that I use my Instant Pot daily.